Hello, this is Lori Stratton at Grove Studios at the Stratton Setlist podcast. Grove Studios is your 24/7 music and content creation space. And today I'd like to welcome my guests, Jordan Smith and Jared Weimer of Ma Baker. So thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Nice. It's nice to see you in person.
Yeah.
Same. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, absolutely. The last time I saw, the four of you, I should say, because only half of you are here today, was at the Blind Pig show in February 2020 before the pandemic shut everything down, and you did your 2-set show, which I thought was cool. I had a great time that night.
It was a lot of fun. Yeah. That was sort of a last hurrah before everything went down.
That's what I figured.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, and so how have you been doing over the last, year and a half since all that happened? How did you stay busy? How did you stay creative in the meantime?
As a band, we did take like a month or two when everything first shut down to just not, just completely quarantine.
Yep.
And then after that, we considered ourselves part of our inner family circle, so we were meeting twice a week. For the last year, we continued on with no shows or anything live happening, but we were just continuing to write and work together as a group. So that was actually like a really fruitful time for us because we had, you couldn't go anywhere. You didn't have the normal distractions of everyday life now. So we actually used it to our advantage and just like continued hanging out, being friends, writing a bunch of songs.
Yeah. I was also going to say there was a few live streams sprinkled in there that kind of kept us going as far as the absence of live shows goes. So.
Yes. Well, it's good you got to do that at least, and your fans still got to engage with you that way, in the midst of with live music coming back. And now with more live music having been back and coming back, what's it like to get back out there in person and see your fans again and just engage with them? Is it just like, do you feel like re-energized, or is it just been a great experience after all that time we weren't able to do that?
Definitely is a blessing to be back in that state. June was extremely busy for us. We had, I don't know how many shows, almost 10.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah. Columbus was a highlight for me.
Columbus was a highlight.
Yeah.
So it's been great. It's kind of like I said, we were playing together frequently the entire time. So now, and then we had the live streams peppered in. And I remember the first time us actually playing in front of people again, not realizing that was crazy until being on stage and then being like, wow, this is okay. We used to do this all the time. This is great. And then honestly, over the last month, we've had so many shows that I'm just like back on the wheel. Yeah.
You're in your groove in more ways than one, right?
Right. Yeah.
Well, and some of the places that you mentioned, the Summit Music Hall, which I know Desmond Jones played there, I think, recently, maybe it was May-ish, when I last talked to John Nowak. But, like, they've had great things to say about down there. And, I haven't had a chance to get down to the Summit to see what that's like. Like, how is that venue supportive of a lot of the jam fusion projects, especially from Michigan that come down there?
It's so great. You want to take this one?
Yeah, definitely. The guy that we also did like a little studio thing while we were there.
Oh, nice.
And his name's Chris. What's his last name?
Forget.
Chris from Weird Music. No, Chris from Weird Music.
Yes.
But he was super hospitable and has something to do with Summit Music Hall as well. So
cool.
Partial owner.
Yeah. So it was really cool. Kind of like a Blind Piggy kind of vibe almost.
Yeah,
as far as the size, and everything's black on the inside, sort of painted that way and stuff. But it was really fun. We made a lot of new fans.
Nice.
My girlfriend actually has family down there, so she brought a bunch of like people that had never seen us before who are into the same type of music. So we just kind of expanded our fan base in that location.
Everybody was so friendly.
Yeah, that too. Yep.
And it also was like the perfect crossroads of that was us literally getting there. I didn't know what to expect in terms of I'm not like up on Ohio's mask mandates or like governmental policies at all. So we just came not knowing. I didn't know what to expect, and then there was like 80 people unmasked in
this little bar,
and this was
like,
before. Yeah, you felt like you were doing something wrong the whole time.
Gosh,
but so it was the perfect crossroads because everybody was kind of in that. I think that was the first day there.
Oh, yeah.
That was the first show that had no mask mandate or whatever. So there was like a universal feeling of jubilance, and everyone we met there was so friendly. We had 2 really cool local bands open for us.
There was one local band. They were a bunch of younger than us kids, like probably 21, 22, most of them. And it was like, I think we had lost some local support, and then we needed some like very quickly. And they hit you up.
Yeah, on Instagram.
And you were like, yeah, heck yeah. And so they came, and it was like their first like real live show with like a sound guy. And,
oh,
like,
wow.
all this
Okay.
stuff. And they killed it.
They were so good.
They were so good. And I was,
by the way,
just
Sparky
made
and
me
the
really
Hills
happy.
Band, if you see this, we have a recording of your set. Come claim it.
There we go.
I will have to
We
check
need
them
your
out.
email. They're so good. Yeah, they were like, oh, this is our first time, playing in front of people with like a sound guy and stuff.
Yeah,
and I was
it made me feel
and then
good.
they just played amazing. I was like, wow, this is great.
Yep.
And they will always remember you for that too.
Yeah.
For like giving them that opportunity, I can imagine, and being able to enjoy that.
I'll remember them too.
Yeah,
They're cool.
yeah.
We'll
That's
see
very
them
cool
again.
to give them that. Yeah. Well, I'm glad to hear the live shows are. It's nice to see the live music coming back in so many different, parts of our music community. So like, one of the things I enjoy about your sound is just kind of the variety of genres that you fuse together. Like anything from like, I'll say rock, funk, jazz, psychedelic, soul, electronic, blues, like everything I've heard. What is it about, the band's sound that kind of made you want to fuse all those sounds together? Is it just from listening to a variety of music and performing a variety of music throughout your lives, or just I'm always fascinated by such the blend of sounds that you both have with the band.
I'll let you feel this one.
I don't think there was any premeditation in terms of fusing all these genres together, like in terms of it being planned. It was just the band kind of formed as like hangout sessions where we would listen to music and then play a little music and then just being friends. So we were always showing each other music, and that's like something that's still super important to the band today, is just like, check this out. And there's no rules about what the genre is. And then, so we just like a ton of different music, but we didn't plan to like, let's fuse these 2 genres, which I think thinking like that is pretty cool, but we've never done that, or we've tried, I think. But it's like,
it always ends up just more of a sound that we, our personal sound versus like this genre or whatever.
Right. It just sounds like the melting pot or whatever.
Yeah.
But as far as influences go, so many, like crazy across the board, from like from hip hop to I don't know.
Oh,
Trance.
Speaking of that, yeah, exactly. Hip hop to trance. So we have actually 2 new songs that have interesting like genre things that we're kind of experimenting with.
Okay.
So
yeah.
one is like, it kind of goes all over the board, but it's suite. We were calling it a suite.
Okay.
So there's like many, many different sections, but a lot of them are influenced by Latin music.
Oh, wow.
And it's kind of just like, it's not a specific type of Latin music, but it's just in general, all the different types of Latin music that I've heard were inspiring to that. And then, so it deals with a lot of different sections, a lot of different like Latin rhythms and stuff, which is really cool. So that's called the Glass Suite.
Nice. I'm looking forward to hearing that.
Yeah, so we've been peppering that into our sets. No plans to record it or anything.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. Yeah.
And then the other one is Caesar Malone, which is a new song as well. And that one has this really interesting blend of hip hop. Like there's a hip hop section at the beginning that's super cool. And then it goes into this kind of like house, like this really nice, like funky, uplifting house music kind of thing in the center.
I like that.
And then comes back into a more of like a hip hop feel at the end. And so that was also not premeditated. Like I would never think to like blend those exact genres or whatever.
Right. Yeah. They just kind of you jam on the first thing you wrote and then find the second thing you wrote, and that happened to be this other genre.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, so that one was literally like we found this cool hip hop thing, and we just did it for so long. Immediately upon finding it, all of a sudden we're playing house music, and we're like, okay, this is where this wanted to go. So
I think you were just doing like
oh yeah,
what would this be called when you're doing this
singular
on the
notes with one finger, like
but they were like equal apart, you know what I mean? Like they weren't like random like this. They were like, it would like start from the middle and like go out. I think, isn't that how it started or something?
Yeah, I was playing like really non-musical things, but like just like these two notes are cool and these two notes are cool, and I was kind of just messing around.
And I was like, this sounds like there should be a Dilla beat over it.
Right.
Yeah, I was gonna say like were there any artists that like hip hop that you've listened to that kind of inspired bringing that flavor into the music?
J Dilla.
Yeah. Okay.
J Dilla.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Definitely.
I love the Beastie Boys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love a lot of like sample-based '90s bands. Diggable Planets.
Yeah,
is super
they
awesome.
were great. Absolutely. Yeah.
A ton of like really awesome jazz samples in their music. What Chris Dave? Would you call him a hip hop influence?
Dude, he brought like playing that beat on the drums. He made that cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like in the 90s.
He's cool.
Yeah.
So
Top
yeah,
five drummer for me for sure.
A lot of hip hop influences, which is kind of like, in my opinion, I think it's kind of the one that is hardest to throw into our like rock.
Sure.
Funk,
yes, I can see that would be a challenge. Yes.
But it just happens very naturally because we listen to it, so it just like comes out. But in terms of like, you know, rock goes with everything.
Yes.
Like rock,
yes.
You can make rock a rock and polka song or whatever. But to make something like have that hip hop swing, you know.
Right.
And we just do it in improvisation all the time, but to write music like that is really cool. Yeah. We were working on a thing last night that was just like, I was imagining myself as like a sample of like an old jazz record or something. And so I was just playing this like repetitive thing as if I was sampling and he was playing this like hip hop style groove. So I'm really excited to like get more into experimenting with hip hop and just like feeling out those kind of grooves.
And that was kind of like a good segue to my next question is like with your sound evolving, like as you're like getting back into live music, you're working on a studio album, you know, like, you know, where do you see the sound going into 2022? Do you see more of like hip hop continuing to kind of flavor some of the music, or do you see yourself potentially exploring, sounds like, you know, with the Latin rhythms and a lot of that coming into the fold? Any other like, you know, music that you kind of want to try to incorporate, however that comes out with the style of how you perform, whether it's improvisation or in the studio, but like, you know, where do you see that going in next year? Like as you're growing the sound, I mean,
Man,
you know.
That's a tough question. I don't know. I maybe more groove based stuff, because I feel like when our first like sort of batch of songs that we wrote when we became a band were like, I feel like they're a lot more intricate than most of the stuff besides this one that he was just talking about with the Latin thing. I feel like we were like, oh, we went from this thing where like we need to have all these different parts and we're going to put all these parts together, and if it's hard, we don't care. Like these are the parts that we want to be in here, and we're going to make them work, sort of thing. And I've kind of seen it move more into like more flow and more like, I don't know, just simpler, less parts, stuff like that.
Yes, gotcha.
But I don't know. That's just my personal opinion. So
that's a good thing to point out. I guess I haven't thought about it, like where I see the sound going in 2022.
Better.
Gooder. I think like judging based off of what we came out of the pandemic with, or we're still in a pandemic, but like the quarantine aspect of it, what we came out with was so diverse that I think it will really be just like a game of chance of what we land on together. Because there's moments where like I'm feeling super inspired by a certain genre or a certain vibe or certain artist, but if I'm not around these guys or writing it down, then it doesn't fruit. So it's really like whatever we all catch a vibe on. So I see it coming from all angles, and maybe like within there's a thread of like what you're saying, like everything's, you know, less intricate, more groovy.
Yep.
I can dig on that.
And there's still some songs that like say that you wrote back in that time, or like parts that you wrote that we still have like on a little imagined list in our head that we want to get done at some point.
I think it takes, when I write a song, typically it takes like 3 years to get the song to be done. So for real. So what it is like I'll have an initial burst of inspiration, and then a year goes by, and then I will like edit that initial burst of inspiration.
You usually make like a track, like a little
a demo,
like a little
demo or
whatever.
Something. Okay. And then it'll still be like very premature, I feel like. And then another year after that, I'll like show it to the band, and then another year after that, we'll like actually play it live.
That's to say, like good. At some point, are you introducing these into your live set so you can kind of test them out and like, you know, through improvisation, see where it should go, you know, see how it could grow from there.
Yeah,
yeah,
sure, yeah. So I think like 3 years is like the move, like. That's just how it works. And before, I mean, because we've played songs.
Some come out quicker. Some come out quicker.
Well, when we collaborate, they're pretty quick.
Oh, sure.
Or if it's like Cookies, for example.
Oh, yeah.
Or another new song.
That's true.
But
I wrote that maybe 2 years ago.
Oh, shoot.
Did you write that? Did you get inspired while eating cookies?
But it's about the cookie jar, you know, the infamous cookie jar. But yeah, no, actually that's funny because that one did, like, I didn't tell anybody about it until I think I told everybody about it, and we were like playing it at a show like a week after.
Yeah.
So that one came really quick, but I wrote it like 2 years ago and just thought like, this isn't really a Ma Baker tune, but now it is.
Can't say that anymore.
So you never know, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
Sometimes putting them aside and then coming back later, and then bringing you know the band in to see where it goes.
I think they need to age. I think they need to.
Yeah.
When you were switching from main guitar to main keys about that time, let's say, right? You've been playing for like 2 years, have you now, right? At least. And that's like a guitar ripping, you know, song. So that also might have had something to do with it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, the output in terms of like what I write on guitar is a lot less these days. It's all like keyboards now.
Mostly keys, yeah. Yeah, because when I think I saw you live at Back to the Line Big Show, I think you did a lot of keys that night when I saw you.
Yep.
Yeah, from what I remember.
Right now it's like
75.
70.
75.
Okay, so it is still
25 guitar.
Well, and I wanted to kind of talk to you about some of the other, like, you know, we were talking about, you know, in Columbus when you're supporting, having other bands support you as part of the scene. I want to kind of talk about the scene here in Michigan because there's so many great, I'll say, jam fusion acts like Chirp and Stormy Cromer, Act Casual, Pajamas, Liquid Thickness. I could name tons.
Yeah.
In addition to you guys, you know, what is it about the scene that people are so supportive of each other? Because I see people like sharing each other's music, promoting their events, inviting people to be on different bills. What is it about the group that, you know, the group of bands here in Michigan that makes it so collaborative and so supportive of each other?
The first thing I thought of when you said all those, you know, names of those bands was just friendship, I think, mostly. And maybe like, I don't know. It was like a special time in Ypsi, especially when I was living here, and you know, we started playing shows, and there were these other bands that were like similar to us.
Yes.
They also wanted to play shows, and that was like just wild to me because I had never, you know, it was my first time experiencing that. But now that it's become kind of more of the norm, I think it's friendship for sure because, I don't know. There's just in quality of people. Maybe the people that are drawn to Ypsi were just the right sort of people.
I'd believe that. Yeah.
You know, I don't know.
That's
a really good question though.
I I have a feeling I have a feeling that it has something to do with like the lack of a certified way or like a path that you can easily walk to make it or something. Like,
okay.
Sure.
Like there's no big record company sitting here like trying to pick one of these bands to make it.
Yeah.
Therefore, I mean, which I think was a thing like in the past. I wasn't there, but I was told, you know, there used to be big record companies who'd be like, here you go. Now you're a star.
Yes.
So we don't have that. So we don't have that kind of like squabble for attention or need to like please the big money man or whatever. But so we just, like we're all friends and we all, I mean, back like when we moved to Ypsi, when Jared moved to Ypsi, I was still not living here. So
you were close behind.
Yeah. So it was just like amazing to find another group because we didn't know that like other people jammed and like, you know, like we were like, went to a pretty big high school, but we were like, after that, like at least in our hometown or whatever, like we were the kids who just listened to music and played music all day.
Right.
And then finding some others like, you know, Stormy Cromer and like people that, you know,
Shout out to I Love Dinosaurs.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. That was my
I don't know
my
if you
biggest
know that band.
I do not, but I will check them out.
Musical influence in high school. They're amazing band.
I will check them out.
Reunion tour.
Nice.
Yeah, please.
Do it. The music scene is amazing. There's so much I could talk about it forever, but you're right. It's just friendship. We're all friends. We all want to see each other succeed.
Yeah.
And my announcement to the world is something's got to give because there's no money, man, but there's so much amazing music here. Like,
heck yeah.
If we can continue telling people like how great this music scene is, like, you know, come from wherever you are, come to Ypsilanti and just like go to some shows, check it out, because it's the real deal. You know, these bands aren't like national touring acts, but they are on par with the level of musicianship. And then beyond that, just like the community, like the people that you'll meet in the crowd are some of the best that I've ever met. And yeah,
I would completely agree with that.
Cool.
Yeah. But I would say like back to like you talk about the music just as good as the national acts. I would say better. So like I keep coming across artists, musicians, songwriters across all kinds of genres. I'll say Washtenaw County because it's some are Ypsi, some are Ann Arbor in the outlying areas. But I'm always impressed by how many people I come across and the talent and how like I want more people to know about who's right here and what they're doing and what they're putting out. So like I'm excited to always share that and discover. I'm always coming across more people and say, how did I not know about them? Now I
Right.
There's so many, you know, just in the music community in general. And the fact that the people here are so genuine and it's such a nice community here. I've met so many great people in Ypsi alone. So yeah, I second that too.
Yeah. And there's artists of all kinds and there's like
Heck yeah.
great people doing
all
great
kinds
things
of stuff.
here, man.
It's
Yes.
good that there's more and more platforms like this one to get those out there as well.
Yes,
so.
and that's the point is we want to share that because, you know, even my own dad will listen to all the stuff I put, you know, share on my blog and he'll go, he says, there's so many great people here that like, he's like, I didn't even know about half these. I'm like, yeah, Dad.
Right on. Right on.
So yeah, I've taught him a ton of local music that he's a fan of now.
He's
So,
all right.
Yep, absolutely.
Shout out to Lori's dad. How you doing? Yeah. Listen to Ma Baker.
Well, and I wanted to kind of get into one of the jams from one of your songs. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the jam for James Deems that we're going to play here in a moment. And this was recorded at a set at Big Fam Music Festival. And was that in 2020? Or tell me a little bit about like how that jam came about for James
so
Deems.
we were on so Big Fam actually is in its inaugural year, 2021.
Okay.
And it was supposed to be 2020, and we were on the lineup.
Got it.
And really excited about that. And it ended up not happening. Obviously, no festivals happened, but we were invited up to the property to like just play on the stage for a couple of the people who were running the festival and some really cool friends there. So we were basically playing on this huge, like, awesome stage to like,
which they've redone. I think,
they just like
it was already pretty sweet.
Yeah, it was amazing. Sorry, I'm messing with this microphone. So we were playing like to the big fam crew and like them, so for like in lieu of this festival that didn't happen, which is happening now at the end of August. So that's why I picked like this show in general. Also, we just had like some magic going that night, and we all really liked our performance, and it was so loud. It was not like loud in a bad way. Like sometimes you're in a
Well, they're big on electronic music, so
okay.
Yeah,
the
so when
bass is booming for sure.
So so the way that like Cole Grieve was the sound engineer. He's a Ypsi Tuckian. Yeah. But when he mixes us, it's just like he comes from an electronic music background, and we do a bit of this electronic thing. So the bass was booming. Everything would just like sounded so good and crystal clear, and I think it really helped us like have a really great performance. Now,
was that performance live streamed at all, or no at the time? Just recorded?
It was recorded, so it was just recorded.
Okay, yeah.
So if you've seen Chirp did the same thing.
Yeah, okay.
Cool.
So we did a big fam live stream as well, like towards the end of when was that? Winter?
Yeah.
Early spring or something. So we did a live stream from their headquarters with like those crazy LED panels behind us.
Yeah, that was fun.
And then they like in between they streamed Chirp's set from the same kind of like just property setup.
Okay, yeah.
So yeah, check that out. It's a really good performance as well.
I will check that out too. But why don't we go ahead and hear the jam from James Deems? I'm gonna go ahead and play that here.
Cool.
All right.
Get that going. Let's see. I know that goes on for quite some time. Like I have to fight the urge to not want to like do my embarrassing air guitar or dance. I want to get up and just it's just like when at your last live show, my husband and I were just like getting down. It's like it's hard not to get up and dance because I like to dance anyway.
Right.
But what I like about that jam is kind of like this energetic, funky, proggy instrumentation. Like I love the keys, I love the bass, the guitar, the drums, the whole thing together is just like it's a feel good, like instant mood lifter when I hear that.
Yeah, you could hear me screaming in the back.
Yeah, that's my favorite part about listening to our sets is sometimes Jared will go, yeah.
Yeah.
And so like with that jam, is that like. And I'm assuming, you just kind of go with the flow as you're playing, right? You're not going to say, that jam at the end of James Dean's is going to be this, you know? It just kind of, like, who kind of takes the lead in those situations? Like, is it just somebody kind of in the band going, I'm going to play this, and then you kind of go, I'm going to play off that? Like, I've always been fascinated how improvisation works in a live setting.
Yeah, so, I mean, I guess for the best example for that one would be when Guy was hitting that, like, that kind of... simple like hammer-on guitar lick at the end, and that I fed off that immediately.
Nice.
and played something that I thought went with it, I suppose. And then that's pretty much how it happens all the time. Is at least for me, I'll hear it could be anything, and I guess it's easy. It's different for me because I'm on the drums, so like I'm just trying to. It's a feeling as much as like notes are, but most of it's just patterns, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, if Jordan hits like this, pattern of 5 notes or whatever, I can like immediately know how to replicate that cool. on the drums based on the, the way it was hit or whatever. So that's the way I tend to do it. But it's the hardest part is figuring out where to like stick or how to instrument that.
Yes.
We've tried like saying like, oh yeah, like this jam will go like this, or we'll kind of like get into this area and then we'll kind of go over here to get into this song, and we have like a compulsion to trying to do that to ourselves, but it always turns out so much better if we just don't talk about it at all. Like with that jam in particular, James Deems typically goes, I mean, they typically all have like a vibe that they start out in, just because like James Deems, the song goes into the jam the same way every time.
Okay. Yeah.
Meaning like at the same section. But typically James Deems goes into like an electronic-y, trancey kind of thing.
Okay. Yeah.
But in that moment, Jared decided to kind of like spin it back and drop this like groovy funk groove. Yep. And
I've been known to.
He's real good at that. And so, and I think it's like that, for one, it sparks like a whole new, like we're in a place that we're comfortable in, like jamming out of James Deems, but now we're funk jamming out of James Deems, and that makes everything feel fresh to us. And for some reason, like as soon as Jared spun it back, I was just like, played this also funky thing. Mm-hmm. It's like, I feel like when you're playing sometimes and you like do big shifts like that, like you can almost feel it coming, even though there's no like, like that's happened a couple times on James Deems jams where it's like we all know we typically just go into like, but every once in a while like we'll hit like da 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 dee da da da, all of a sudden we're there, and if you can like catch those, then the whole thing will just kind of like
that's nice
build off of each other, and then it's like Jared said, like everybody's just like, oh, I heard this thing and that inspired me to do this thing, and you feed off of each other. Like
I love the spontaneity of that with like when your band does that, and we and the other bands we talked about when I see them in a live setting, how like no song is like you have the James Deems, but then you have the jam, but like anytime you perform it's never the same way twice. And I've always been fascinated by that concept, because like I could see you at the Blind Pig, maybe catch you at Big Fam this year, and it might be maybe it's going in, maybe it's a funky direction one time, but maybe it's going in, I don't know, an electronic or some other direction another time. That's what I find fascinating about those types of experiences live, watching bands bands like you and so many other great ones.
It's what makes it fun to play.
Me too, yeah. And listen to. That's what I mean. Bands that I love, do that, and so
yes,
that's something that really,
there's also something about like some great jazz fusion that's just completely written out, but also like totally different the entire time. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
true.
Though there's different levels of improvisation too. Like in the jam band world, they say like type 1, type 2.
Okay.
But then in type 1 is just like improvising on a chord structure, and type 2 is just like leaving the chord structure and the rhythm and basically all the parts that are identifiable to the song behind, and making up something completely different. But then in like the jazz world, like you're saying, like there's so many levels of improvisation.
Yes,
there could be something, it could be completely free, or it could be like they have all of these like little skeletal parts that they're constantly improvising over. Mm-hmm. And all of it's cool.
Yeah,
totally. It's almost difficult to discern sometimes when you're watching a band. You're like, how much do they know what is going on?
See, that's what I always wondered. I wonder similar. I'm not a musician, but I still wonder that, like, how much is there like a framework that's kind of built out, but then you just sort of have some like room within the framework to go different directions, and then people, kind of build off of that. Like, that's what I'm always curious, like, what's going through the musicians' minds as they're playing that,
Yeah.
Dylan said it really well. What did he say? It's like it's like you can kind of, it's like an unspoken predictability.
Okay.
Just from playing with each other for so long, like you kind of know what someone's gonna do, and then just because you're like, we have these like habitual tendencies, like things that we like to reach for in the musical realm, and then. The fun part is when someone does something that you're like not expecting, But then there's also something really fun about like being like, I know that guy's gonna hit a lick like this, and then you can anticipate it and kind of, like meet them where you think they're gonna be.
Yes. Yes.
So for us, I think it's like this lowest common denominator thing. Like when we start jamming, it's like maybe 3 different people have ideas. But whatever's similar about all those 3 ideas, like, turns into what we're doing,
Nice. Very cool. And like I said, just always fascinated by that approach, and just seeing people kind of, open that up on stage and just to see where it goes. And I have fun watching that at live shows all the time. So
yeah.
Yeah.
People say that they like watching our faces.
Yeah, mine is. I just yell and have weird faces. I guess.
It's a primitive experience.
I like watching people in the zone and having a good time on stage.
Yeah,
where you can tell they're just really feeling. And I'm not gonna do my eardrums because I'm not a drummer. But I catch myself doing that.
Yeah. Yep.
You're telling me you don't jump on the kit back here from time to time?
I probably could, but I haven't. I don't think anybody wants to hear me. It's kind of hard not to. Yeah. Well, I wanted to talk about another one of your jams from like Caldwell 83 that kind of works into like, the Pseudo Nova Jam. So for like Caldwell 83, did you actually like intentionally name that after the galaxy?
Right.
Yeah. Because I was like,
yeah,
that sounds very like interstellar, galactic. And I was like, it is.
Right. Yeah. That was one of those where we were like, literally just looking up names of galaxies.
I didn't know if anybody has an astronomy background or like how you can, or is there something special? But I like the name caught my attention. I'm like, it sounds very it sounds very out of this world, and that's what I was. And
I kind of like it because if you don't know that it's a galaxy or whatever, then it just kind of sounds like I don't know what that is.
Yeah,
a guy's last name. Yeah.
Guy's last name.
Richie Caldwell, right. 83 years old.
83. Born in 83.
Yeah, born in 83.
You never know, so people can interpret it, but I just like the idea. I like when people take correct, I think of like M83, because I'm a big fan of his music, and they kind of take like a galactic name and make it a song title or their artist name. So, because as a kid at one point I wanted to be an astronomer, so I'm always fascinated by that kind of stuff. But
right on, yeah.
I just thought that was cool. I wanted to point that out.
Awesome.
But I wanted to talk a little bit about this jam because I feel like this one has like I'm going to go back to like kind of the interstellar live tronica improv kind of feel.
Sure.
And was that, were you guys kind of looking for that kind of thought? Like when we talked about if you have a skeleton in mind or a framework for what it might be in a jam for improvisation, was that kind of where you wanted to go with the track, or is that just, how did that one come about for this Big Fam one, which we'll play in a minute?
I think myself, Guy, and Jordan love Lotus, and we all like so many Lotus shows. So that's what I was thinking of when the track was created. That's where my influence came from.
So the actual song Caldwell 83 is definitely like a love letter to Nomad for sure.
Nice.
By Lotus. Their album from 2004. So it has this like spacey, but it's just really slow and funky. But the jams just like that's just where they go. Typically, sometimes they turn into more of a funk thing, but we're going into Pseudo Nova, which is like a very fast-paced like trance song. So we know we have to get there. So that kind of is like the route to take. So it's actually not. Nobody was like, "Hey, we're gonna do a jam like this to get there," but it just like seemed like the move at the time. We could have gone a number of different ways, and that's kind of cool. Like we try to like not have anything be like every time we jam into this song we do it this way, because it would just make it boring. But
that's been one of the most challenging things, honestly, is transitions. Over the years.
Transitioning into different songs.
Yeah. Not knowing how we're gonna get there,
That is the hardest
I'm
part.
willing to accept.
Yeah, we need to. Yeah, we're talking about instilling like a look system, because we've tried like hand signals, and we created like this whole language with the hand signals that didn't last for not even a second. Like no one can remember what they
mean. Even think of that in the moment. Like if I was jamming along, regardless of what instrument, would I even see the hand signal?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
I'd be in my zone too much. I know if I were playing.
Yeah.
Well, that's the main problem is that typically Guy will have his eyes shut, or somebody we'll all just be feeling it. I'm picking on Guy because like he's like a lot of the time if we're trying to get a hold of somebody, it's Guy. He's like in.
He's just like
right.
Getting out,
he's
right?
in his zone.
Yep.
But so we tried the hand signals. That totally did not work. We didn't even all we did was create the language, and then we were like, this is not gonna work. We tried it out for like in a practice, I think, and then so now we're talking about this look system where it's like eye contact. Because we want to have the space to roam freely, and then we also want to balance that with making sure that the connection to the next song is like logical and funky and hot, and like when the track drops, it's popping. You don't want to like pit her down, and you can't talk about it on stage, which sometimes we're guilty of, just being like, what are you doing? But
people like to see that stuff though too.
Yeah. So we're trying to instill this 2-look system. So it's like we're free, totally free, and then we like make eye contact, and that means like it's just kind of like a check-in, like, hey, where are we at? Let's make our way to the next song, and then so if we all kind of like give an affirmative look, then we're gonna be on our way to the next one, and then when we do that second look is like a checkpoint, like, okay, now we're going into the next song.
We're gonna go,
because otherwise it'll just like really like it's really one of the hardest things to like know where you're going but not give it away to even yourself.
Yep.
Yes.
As soon as you make the decision like, oh, we're going towards this song, it's really hard not to just play the song. But if you do that, that's it's too jarring, and like you can't just like be like, boop, now we're playing the song.
It's too abrupt. There's not like a natural bridge,
right.
Like with some of those jams to me, as I've heard from your music, it sounds like it's seamless. I wouldn't know the difference, honestly, like, because again,
well, thank you.
It really is like, in my mind, it's like you have to hide the fact that you're going to this other song from yourself, or else, because I'm not a good liar, I don't have a good poker face. So like if I know that I'm going to this song, I'm going to be, even if I'm trying to hide it, it'll just come out so like a really bad lie, you know, like do better do, and everybody's like, you know, you're just playing the lick. So you have to like hide it from yourself and just kind of like massage the music into that direction.
Yes.
And then but you can't look at it. It's like a yoga or like a meditation exercise.
Yes.
It's like you have this thing on your mind and you're like going for it, but you have to like keep your attention away from it, or else it'll immediately just turn to James Dean's.
You have to focus. Yeah, you have to focus in the state of mind you're in at the time.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Well, why don't we go ahead and hear Caldwell 83, and I'll say Into the Pseudo Nova Jam. We'll go ahead and play that.
Cool.
again, that's what I call like escape from my troubles kind of jam.
Right on.
That's what I want to put on after a bad day and just like escape stuff.
Right.
Just get away.
Yeah.
Aaron Magner of you on the tone.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about so I'm glad that we got a chance to hear some of your live jams that you've done. And I want to kind of talk about the studio album that you're working on now with, as we talked about earlier, with Taylor Greenshields at Fundamental Sound Company. So how did all that, how long ago did you start working on the tracks with Taylor, and like where are you at with all that at this point?
Yeah. I'd say we're about halfway done.
Okay.
But the structure or what was going to be on it has changed constantly, probably over, since we decided we wanted to put it out by, I don't know, what's our date? Next year?
Early
next
spring
year?
2022.
Cool.
So we're definitely taking our time, but we like doing it that way, I think, like track at a time instead of like setting aside 3 days to finish an album sort of thing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And our pockets as well, like that way. So, it's going. I think it's going really, really well so far, and obviously we've been friends with Taylor for quite some time now. So it's really cool to be able to do it with him as well in his house because we all feel super comfy there. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's totally like hanging out when we're at Fundamental Sound Co. It's just like we're chilling at home.
Yep.
We're in a very comfortable space. So we've definitely been taking our time. Like, our first, how long have we been a band? We've been a band for like almost 6 years.
Okay. Yeah.
But we've had like multiple lineup changes and stuff. So this current version of the band has been since August 2019.
Okay.
Is that right? Or 2018?
Sounds no 19. I think, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I would say, we're definitely taking our time on the album, and we like doing it that way.
Yep.
Because we're really happy with the stuff that we put out. So we plan to be done with it by the winter, and then start peppering out singles.
Cool.
So this song that we're gonna listen to, "Falling," has been recorded since last winter. We finished it, and we actually finished all the mixing and mastering like right when spring came. But it is a song about fall.
Yeah.
And so we didn't want to release it. So we'll be releasing it in the fall.
Cool.
As a single for the album.
Well, and that's kind of a good segue to my next question about, so with Tessa Heldmeyer, so how did you come to meet her and work with her on that track?
She's a longtime collaborator and friend of the band. So we've been playing with her for a really long time. Like, I don't remember the first time that she ever sang with us, but
was it
Northville Winery?
Okay.
Yeah. So we've been playing with her. We did a really cool show at the Blind Pig for Groovin' for Good.
Oh yeah,
Where she was like our lead singer, and we were like the backing band. And
we did an Aretha number.
We did an Aretha number.
Yeah.
We did
Leon Bridges.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
And then Alabama Shakes.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
So we did a bunch of cool music that like we normally wouldn't do because she can sing amazingly, and we all kind of not.
Subpar.
So subpar. So so she's been a really good friend for a long time. I played like we used to play and need to get back into it if you're watching, Tessa. We used to play acoustic like duet shows just around town. So yeah, she's been a long time collaborator. When I wrote this song, it was like probably, definitely at least 3 years before we ever played.
Yeah, definitely a friend first. And I think we kind of, I don't know, do we break her out of her like shell a little bit?
Oh yeah, no, actually now you're reminding me. So this started, Tessa and I singing together started by just like hanging out at your house in Ypsi and just like people singing songs, and then all of a sudden she sang one, and we were just like, whoa, what happened there? Everybody, it was kind of, it was like late at night, everybody's kind of singing, it doesn't matter if you're good, it was a little bit like fun, and then she sang, and it was just like, what? But she was a little shy at first, so we've been very grateful that she overcame that and performed with us many times since then. So
yeah, most definitely.
Yeah.
Well, I have to say I love duets, and I'm excited for people to hear this track. I think I think if you performed this live before, I think is it on Octaquarius?
It is.
Yeah. So we played it at that show that you're talking about, the Blind Pig.
Yep. So, but I'm excited for people to hear this, and I like the idea of duets. So I would say like definitely do more collaborations with Tessa.
For sure. Yeah. Noted.
Well, why don't we go ahead and hear that next then?
Cool.
A preview from the new album.
Go.
I feel like a sinking ship when I wake up and my greens have gone red. It turns me black and blue. So pinch me, mama, I'm dreaming as the things I've held so close slip from my hands, and I don't understand. It's so cold and it makes me wonder. The sun again. So tell me, boy, what you're thinking now, 'cause the things that felt alright now feel all wrong. If you won't play along, I see that things have been changing, but I know so cold. I see all these falling One thing I can tell you is you can't be afraid of falling, 'cause baby, that's how seasons change. One thing I can tell you is you can't be afraid of falling. And how did you think we were made? One thing I can tell you is you can't be afraid of falling, 'cause baby, that's how seasons change. One thing I can tell you is you can't be afraid of falling. And how did you think we were made? And how did you think we I feel like a sinking ship when I wake up and my greens have gone red. It turns me black and blue. So pinch me, mama, I'm dreaming as the things I felt so close slip from my hands, and I don't understand. I feel it coming on today.
I love that. We're still playing again there. We want to hear it a second time. But what I love the like instrumental outro that goes on, and just like the different variations it goes through. That I think is a cool addition to the track. In addition to the vocals.
How does the duet turn into that? That's the
I
question,
love that.
right?
Yeah, I love that though.
That is funny. I feel like that section, I feel like is one of those that started out as like. I feel like in terms of our creativity as a band, like the music comes out all right, but in terms of like our conceptual ideas, I feel like that one was like, let's do something where everybody gets a solo. And then it was like
back to back to back.
Just we'll do. You do one, then I'll do one, and then
it works.
Just trying
it works.
To get
I think it's
involved.
nice you highlight because everybody has a really good sound to add to that. The bass, the drums, the guitar, the keys.
Yeah.
I like how you go back and forth, and then there's the tempo changes and the genre changes and all that. I think that's what keeps it fresh for that song.
Yeah, that's cool. You think we should make a radio edit without the end?
You could. Yeah.
I mean, it's still like it's a song. Like I think the first chorus is like 3.5 minutes in. So you've already lost the whole mainstream pop audience.
That's okay.
They're gone. They were never there in the first place.
Yeah, but your fans are going to want to listen to the entire thing, though.
That's true.
You know?
Yes.
No,
Right
seriously,
on.
they're going to
Yeah,
want to
that's
digest
true.
the whole
That's
thing.
true. That's true.
I want to hear the whole thing. When I hear a song, I want to hear the whole thing.
Right.
Whether it's 3 minutes or 20.
Right. Yeah.
That's
true. Yeah. Yeah. Screw the radio edit.
Yeah, heck with it. Do it your way.
Right on. Right on.
Well, and I wanted to also kind of close with, you have a lot of great live shows coming up, and I wanted to kind of, revisit that coming up in August. So I want to share some of these dates. August 6th with Baked Shrimp at Tangent Gallery in Detroit.
That's going to be awesome. If you haven't heard Baked Shrimp,
I have
you
not.
got
I
to
will
check
check
them
out. Yeah.
If you're a fan of jam bands and that kind of stuff, they're awesome, like trio jam band from Connecticut.
Nice.
A
okay.
sit-in? Maybe a sit-in by somebody in
I'm
our
definitely
band, and their band?
we're definitely doing that.
Okay,
Nice.
cool.
Nice.
Yes.
And then August 7th, I'm excited about this event. So Fun Fest, which is put on by Taylor Greenshields, a Fundamental Sound Company here at Ypsi at Frog Island Park, Saturday, August 7th, with Anna, Al Bettis, Travis Ackerman, Danny Darling, the Day Knights, Jesse Clayton, and then, of course, Ma Baker.
Right on.
So that is going to be a great show to celebrate so much like local music here. I'm excited about that one.
Absolutely. Playing at Frog Island is going to be like a actualized dream that I've had forever. Get there early because we're kicking off the party.
We'll be there.
and yeah, it's cool. So yeah, get your tickets now on Eventbrite.
Yep.
It's going to be super cool. Thanks to Taylor for putting that together.
Absolutely. Stay tuned to Stratton Setlist post will be coming out about that too. August 12th, we've got the Fishbowl Festival at Fairyland in Harrietta, Michigan. So that sounds like a cool festival too. This is the first time I've heard of the Fishbowl. So
it's going to be awesome. I think it's his first time as a thing. So it's really a birthday party for our buddy Abram.
Cool.
At this really unique not campground, but a venue in on the tip of the Manistee Forest.
Nice, yeah.
So it's just like beautiful, and you kind of had to drive out into the middle of nowhere and take this weird road into the woods, and then there's like a huge stage there. I might be blowing its cover, but
that's my type of spot.
Now this is the one that's near Cadillac. Is it near Cadillac? I was trying to look up and see it.
You know what? When it gets out there, it all gets so hairy for me. I don't know where I'm at.
I think it's in Wexford County near Cadillac. I was doing a look because I didn't know where like Harrietta was. So
yeah.
So it's to give people a frame of reference.
Right.
Nice, beautiful place.
Yeah.
Very beautiful, and we're super excited to play there. We're headlining one night, and Desmond Jones is headlining the other.
Oh, that's cool. That would have me sold right there.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And it's a cool event because he's like, you can play as long as you want. You can play as many sets as you want. You can do it. It's totally, you guys do whatever you want. So that's gonna be fun.
It's a good feeling.
It's gonna be really fun.
Well, and I want to revisit Big Fam, which I know you said this being inaugural, we get to actually have it this year. But August 27th through the 30th. But you'll be on August 28th there at. Let's see, at Harmony Pines in Lake Ann, Michigan. So that should be that has quite a lineup too, I saw. So that should be a fun way to kind of unofficially close out summer, let's say. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. There's a ton of great bands there. If you haven't heard of Big Fam, this is their inaugural year, pushed back from 2020. So
yeah, the lineup is quite impressive.
Check it out. It's really cool. It's a lot of DJs, bass music, EDM, a lot of jam bands, some psychedelic music in there.
Mad art.
Oh yeah, totally.
It's gonna be great.
Music and art.
Property's really nice. Property's really nice too. So
it's magical property.
Well, I am excited to see that you guys are back out on the live scene in full force here with all kinds of festivals and local dates too. So I want to thank you for being on today. It's been great to have you both and to hear some of your jams and like an unreleased track. So thanks for sharing all that.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having us.
Anytime. And this is Lori Stratton from the Stratton Setlist, again at Grove Studios, your 24/7 self-service music and content creation space. Thank you and have a good one.
Thank you. Thanks for watching.